Minister, there's fraud and another Randy in a partner call at your company. What's the other Randy's last name?
So, Mr. Barrett, I do not know the name of that person, as I stated in my opening statements. And before at committee, I have no relationship, no operational role with GHI. I do not know that person in question. That person is not me.
What's your percentage stake in the company?
As has been disclosed in my disclosure to the Commission of Ethics, it is 50% stake in GHI that is held in my holding company.
Who are the partners at the company?
I do not know. It is Mr. Anderson, to my knowledge, is the only administrator of that company. So I have no connection other than holding the shares to that company, Mr. Barrett.
Holding half of the shares.
Half of the shares are in my numbered company, as disclosed to the Commissioner of Ethics.
Do you know who holds the balance of the shares?
When I was involved, the last time I looked, it was Mr. Anderson.
So it's your understanding that you and Randy Boissonneau and Mr. Anderson are 50-50 partners in the company?
That is not correct. The shares are held by 2256956 Alberta Limited.
Who owns that numbered
I
company?
Do.
Cute.
It's not cute, Mr. Barrett.
There's a question about this other Randy that's been reported. I know the contention, sir, is that you'd like for this to be something that the opposition has created, but this is reported in the media. And the media has uncovered a number of things, including text message exchanges with someone who's named by one of your partners as a partner, and they refer to Randy. And no last name of that Randy is available. The only Randy we know that's involved with the company is a minister in the Trudeau government. Who were the partners in that company in 2022?
I do not have that information, Mr. Barrett, but let me correct the record, Mr. Chair. To your question, I'll go through you, Mr. Chair. I am not the person in those texts. Mr. Anderson confirmed that it's not me. And I have a quote from the article that you're talking about, Mr. Barrett, which is from the Gowie Group, which says, "We have had no direct communication with Mr. Boissonneau at any point in our dealings with Stephen and the companies because I have had no active role in GHI since I was elected in 2021.
Okay. You said publicly you didn't have anything to do with Stephen Anderson's business deals on behalf of your PPE company, Global Health Imports. Is that right?
I have had no active role in GHI since I was elected. And Mr. Barrett, you said yourself in your question this morning, Mr. Chair, may I answer?
Chair, I gave.
Hang on a sec.
So let's stop the clock. Okay.
Go ahead. I'm going to ask Mr. Barrett to continue. He has another question. Minister, prepare for an answer.
But
go ahead.
On the way the meeting's going to run, I gave Mr. Boissonneau more than twice the amount of time to respond to both of my previous questions than I spent in asking the questions. So if I have a short question and the minister wants to run the clock, that's obviously not going to demonstrate fairness. I
think I made that pretty clear at the top of the meeting, Mr. Barrett, that my expectation today is that as members ask questions, an equal amount of time is going to be given for those responses, Minister, and I ask that all members respect that. I'm not going to be the timekeeper here, other than the 6 minutes. But if I see that a member is going a little bit off in terms of time, then I will intervene. Mr. Barrett,
how much time?
You got 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Go ahead.
Related to deals with the Gowie Group, you didn't have anything to do with the alleged wire fraud?
Mr. Barrett, I have been very clear that I've had no operational dealings with GHI since I was elected, and you, sir, indicated off the start that the Randy in the article was not me.
So that company alleges that you were involved. Are they telling the truth?
That company is not, they're not correct because I've had no correspondence from them, and Mr. Anderson indicates very clearly in this morning's article that Randy is not me.
So we have text messages implicating you, sir, in this wire fraud, and it was carried out by your business partner to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And one of them reads, and I quote, "What is going on? I just received this from Randy." It's 1314 MST and 1514 EST. It literally takes 10 seconds to complete a transfer. I'm telling you, we are not allocating like this. Please reach out and see what the reason is now. You assured me this was done this morning, first thing, and allowed you to hold this stock today. It's midday and nothing is completed. I'm calling Felix to discuss. Be available for a partner call in 15 minutes. end quote. Sir, it seems like you're trying to conceal your involvement in a matter of fraud. Why?
Michael, Mr. Chair, that is completely beyond the pale. It's completely false, and it's not true. The article states very clearly that the Gowrie Group had no contact with me, which is true, and Mr. Anderson indicated that this is a different Randy. Mr. Barrett, your first name is Michael. Mr. Cooper's first name is Michael. Are we to confuse your two identities here at committee when you ask questions of me that are spurious in nature?
Well,
there's more than one
Mr.
Randy
Chair,
in here.
I look
No
forward, Mr.
lawsuits.
Chair, to Mr. Boissonneau being
I
in
have time to finish
opposition
my
and
answer.
having the
He asked a very long question,
opportunity
Mr. Chair.
having the
He asked a
opportunity
very
to-
long question. I have more
And I
seconds.
realize that, Minister.
Thank you, Mr.
So,
Chair.
thank you. Go ahead.
So there are
Mr.
other,
Chair,
there
the
are
answer,
other,
I have time on the clock to answer that question.
there are other texts as well that outline how quickly you wanted this wire transfer to go through.
Mmr. Barrett,
And
that is not me, and you cannot
the
put,
question-
you cannot state that for the record.
Can
That is
we,
simply not true, Mr. Chair.
just
That
hang
is
on a
not true,
sec.
Mr. Chair.
I'm going to, look, I thought I made my expectation very clear at the beginning, that questions will be asked and time will be given to respond to that. I am going to Mr. Barrett. Mr. Barrett, Minister, please don't intervene. I'm going to ask the same of the questioners as well. Mr. Barrett, go ahead. You've got 1 minute and 12 seconds, sir.
Like the lack of respect for procedure at committee, we've seen the same lack of adherence to ethics rules. The minister talked about Canada's stringent ethics rules. His government, of course, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, has twice been found guilty of breaking those laws. And that's why we have questions about alleged law breaking by our witness, by the minister. The company has been trying to get the money back, the company that was defrauded of $500,000 from your business. Where did the money from the
Mr. Chair.
chair?
It is,
a chair.
Point of order, Chair.
he is not stating facts, and I
But
cannot
he
let
didn't finish
falsehoods
his
go, Mr.
question.
Chair.
You're going to have ample opportunity to
30 seconds was the
answer.
length
I
of
know
my
you're
question.
protecting his
And
clips, Mr. Chair,
no, I'm
but he
not
is stating
actually.
falsehoods.
I'm not actually, Mr. Boissonneau.
So we have a corrupt minister from a corrupt
Ask
government.
Not true.
question.
That is
Point
simply
of
beyond
order,
the pale.
Mr.
Mr. Chair, that is outrageous behavior by that
Mr.
member.
Barrett,
Do I have my time? I've asked for 2 points of order.
I'm going to go on your point of order. Go ahead, Mr. Brock.
I have never, in my almost 3 years of public service, seen such disrespect
Point of
by
order.
a minister
Point of order.
for the procedures
Point of
here
order.
at committee. He's constantly talking over the witness, and now he's talking over the chair.
Point of
It is
order.
conduct unbecoming.
I've got your
order.
point of order, Mr. Brock. I appreciate that. Mr. Barrett, you were at 34 seconds in your intervention. So I'm going to ask you to ask your question. And
Point
then
of order.
Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Chair, referring to someone as corrupt is unparliamentary. I would ask that you order it be withdrawn.
Sorry, ask that I order it what?
I would ask that you ask Mr. Barrett to withdraw those comments. That is unparliamentary to refer to someone as corrupt.
Yeah, Mr. Barrett, I am going to ask that you withdraw those comments, please.
Alleged corruption by a corrupt government.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barrett. You have had,
That was not a withdrawal, Mr. Chair. That was a doubling down.
we got a, where, you know, everybody's talking over each other. And I'm going to enforce that from this, I've been enforcing it, but I'm going to enforce it from this point forward. It's just, it means that we're going to be wasting our time here and not being able to ask the questions that we want. Mr. Barrett, you've had 34 seconds. Do you have a question for Mr. Boissonneau? Because I want to give an equal amount of time. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Through you, Chair, we'll give the minister an opportunity for transparency. For a first, Minister, will you provide this committee a copy of the letter notifying in writing that you wanted to be removed as a director from this company? And further, will you provide any financial records related to this company? Will you provide them to the committee?
Mr. Chair, there is a well-established practice done by the Ethics Commissioner that every single member around this table has to go through. The standards are higher for parliamentary secretaries and ministers. I have followed that process to the letter. All of those documents were provided to the Commissioner of Ethics. And, Mr. Chair, the Ethics Commissioner sent me and Mr. Barrett a letter indicating that there was no need. He took the decision that there's no need to look into my business affairs, no need to evaluate them. I have followed the letter to the rule to the letter.
Thank you, Mr. Boissonneau. Mr. Barrett. Ms. Damoff, you
One of the challenges I think we have here is that there's questions about who this Randy is. You've mentioned those questions. I know that was certainly the conclusion of the last round. That is still an outstanding question. I would just ask, though, that it seems to me that in this question about who is Randy, if the principals involved in this company and they exchange accordingly, a thought that they were in fact referring to a minister of the Crown, even if that minister wasn't involved in that, and there was benefit derived from that. Is there some ethical challenges that you would have with that?
The task of the office is to ensure there's no conflict of interest and to avoid conflict, help people avoid conflict of interest. In the situation that you mentioned, the question is there a conflict of interest here somewhere? Is that, there's this exchange using the name of Randy, does that by itself create a conflict of interest? No. If the Randy is a minister and he is actually involved in running a company, then of course it's a totally different issue.
And if he benefited from the perception that he was the one that was passing along that message, would that constitute a conflict?
It's with all of these hypotheticals, it depends very much on the facts, and without having the total facts, I can't answer your question.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think that emphasizes the fact that we need all the facts involved here because there are many outstanding questions. Just curious, Commissioner, did you have a chance to refer or your office review the deferred compensation agreement that Minister Boissonnault received as a result of work that he didn't do well as a minister? Did your office have a chance to review that?
I don't think it was a deferred compensation. It was an amount of service that he rendered for which he had not been paid. Did we actually, Lynn, do you know the details of this?
I can only confirm that we saw the information of what is owed from Navis to the numbered company, but we did not review an agreement per se.
Okay, I appreciate that. Well, look, thank you, Commissioner, and I know you're always willing to come before this committee, and I do appreciate that because it's appreciated. And as we get more facts, I know that you and your office will be hard at work looking at that information. But because, Mr. Chair, it's clear that there is some outstanding information that is required in order for us to be able to effectively evaluate this, whether it's the question about who is this Randy or whether it's the whole series of challenges associated with what we've been, this committee has agreed to study here today. I would move a motion, and I hope that there would be support for what even the Liberals have suggested that we need, and that is to find out the facts. So, Mr. Chair, I hope that we can find agreement amongst this committee for the following motion. That in light of today's media reports and Minister Randy Boissonnault's testimony, the committee call on Stephen Anderson, Kristen Poon, and representatives of the Gowrie Group to appear before the committee individually and testify forthwith for no less than 1 hour each on or before June 20th, and the committee seek additional resources to facilitate these meetings if needed. And then, Chair, I would just make a brief comment on the motion.
Just let me